Welcome to Christian Podcast, where we look at the world and our own lives through a Christian lens. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into something that honestly feels more urgent every day: forgiveness, healing the digital divide. If you spend any time online, and let's face it, who doesn't? You've probably felt it. That relentless current of conflict, negativity, division, it just seems amplified, doesn't it, in our digital spaces? We've gathered some really powerful insights on navigating this, drawing a lot from an article called The Power of Forgiveness in a Digital Age.
Mhm.
So our mission today is to unpack not just why this digital divide is happening, but how the, timeless truth of forgiveness, seen through a Christian lens, offers a profound and practical way through it.
Okay, let's just jump right in then. What is it about these digital spaces? Why do they feel like such hotbeds for negativity? What's fundamentally different online?
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? And the sources we looked at really highlight this paradox. The digital landscape connects us globally, instantly.
Yeah, incredible connection. But it also becomes this breeding ground for conflict, as the article puts it.
Right.
Screens seem to amplify division. And this surge in online negativity, it's not just volume. It seems to come partly because these cyber interactions are replacing face-to-face empathy.
That makes sense. You lose so much.
Exactly. The nuance, the body language, the shared space,
Yeah.
all gone.
Mm.
And without those human cues, empathy struggles.
Mm-hmm.
And this shift, as our material points out, it takes a real, often unseen toll on our mental health.
You can feel that toll, can't you? That constant low-level hum of tension. So if online conflict is surging and our mental health is taking a hit, what specifically is driving it, beyond just losing that face-to-face element? And how does it impact us in ways maybe we don't even realize?
A huge factor, and the article really digs into this, is that potent mix of online anonymity
Right, the anonymity.
and what the sources call an illusion of detachment.
Through attachment, how so?
Well, think about it. When people feel anonymous or like their words typed on a screen
Yeah.
don't have real-world weight, it emboldens hurtful behavior. It just does.
Mm-hmm.
It's far easier to be harsh, to lash out, send those anonymous attacks when you don't have to look someone in the eye.
Mm-hmm. Less accountability.
Precisely. And this creates fertile ground for what's described as a cyclical spiral of offense and retaliation.
Oh, I've seen that happen.
We all have. Someone
Yes.
throws out a harsh critique, you feel stung, you fire back, maybe sharper.
Yeah.
They escalate. And suddenly you're both trapped,
Mm.
just back and forth getting worse.
Yeah.
And this constant engagement with negativity, this tit for tat, it takes an undeniable, severe toll on mental health.
How so specifically?
Increased anxiety, definitely.
Yeah.
Stress, emotional exhaustion, even a kind of cynicism about people.
Mm.
Our brains just aren't built for this constant low-grade conflict. The digital world often forces us into it.
Wow.
So this brings up a really crucial question for us today, doesn't it? Given this landscape, how do we protect ourselves? And maybe even more importantly, how do we respond in a way that actually breaks this cycle? Not just for us, but maybe for the wider digital community.
It's clear the problem is huge, and the impact, it's incredibly real. We've all felt that drain. But, okay, the sources we're looking at suggest a powerful, ancient solution to this very modern mess. So what exactly is the Christian view of forgiveness, and how is it commanded in the Bible, not just like a nice idea?
Right. At its absolute core, Christian forgiveness is presented as this radical call to forgive, really modeled by Jesus himself.
Radical, yeah.
And it's described as a cornerstone of faith.
Yeah.
It's not just a suggestion, it's a command woven all through Scripture.
Mhm.
The article really hammers this home. Like where Paul tells the Colossians to bear with one another.
Mhm.
And if one has a complaint against another, forgive each other. As the Lord has forgiven you, so you also must forgive.
Wow. As the Lord has forgiven you, that's the standard.
It's not a gentle nudge, is it? It's a profound directive.
Mm-hmm.
We're called to mirror God's own boundless mercy. Think about the scale of what God forgives in us, His grace. We're asked to extend that same kind of profound, unearned grace.
Even when it hurts.
Even when it hurts.
Vigorously.
Mirroring His heart.
That's a challenging standard, but beautiful. It sounds like it's more than just saying, I forgive you, or just trying to forget it. What does this conscious choice to forgive actually involve, especially for the person doing the forgiving?
It's a conscious choice, often a really hard one, to release bitterness. That's key.
Okay.
It means acknowledging the harmful action.
Yeah.
We're definitely not talking about ignoring it or pretending it didn't sting,
Okay.
but actively choosing to extend grace to the perpetrator.
Mm.
And this mirrors how God forgives us, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't say our failings are okay,
No.
but He offers redemption, a way forward. And here's where it becomes, well, truly liberating, as the sources explore. For the forgiver, it shatters the chains of resentment that poison the soul.
That's powerful phrasing.
It is. It's not just spiritual. The research mentioned suggests it actually impacts our internal state, interrupting those cycles of bitterness and anger, maybe even rewiring things a bit.
Yeah.
And for the person forgiven, it offers the possibility of redemption, a chance to change course. Remember Jesus' parable, the unforgiving servant?
Oh, yeah, in Matthew.
Right. It powerfully shows that refusing to forgive others kind of contradicts the immense mercy we've received ourselves. It's a stark reminder. And crucially, this is so important. Christian forgiveness is not the same as condoning wrongdoing or tolerating abuse.
That's a vital distinction.
Absolutely vital. It means releasing your right to hold on to anger or seek personal vengeance.
Yeah.
But it absolutely allows for setting boundaries, seeking justice if needed, ensuring safety. It's about your spiritual and emotional freedom, even if the other person never says sorry or changes. It frees the forgiver.
That distinction is critical and, yeah, often misunderstood. Forgiveness isn't saying the wrong was okay or putting yourself back in harm's way. It's releasing your inner burden. Okay, so connecting this back, how does this deep understanding of Christian forgiveness offer a unique solution? A powerful one for all this digital conflict and division we see? And how can actually practicing it online maybe transform some of that negativity into, I don't know, opportunities for growth? Or even grace?
This is where it gets really interesting, I think, where the deep dive really pays off. Christian forgiveness offers a unique framework to actively break that cyclical spiral of offense and retaliation we talked about.
How? Because the default is definitely retaliation online.
Exactly. It's usually eye for an eye. Forgiveness steps completely outside that whole dynamic by choosing grace, or even just non-retaliation, instead of instantly firing back. We model Christ's redemptive work, as the article says, in a very practical, visible way. It's countercultural.
It really is.
And this approach can fundamentally shift the interaction, maybe from conflict to connection, or at least to a ceasefire. Think about it.
Yeah.
Someone posts a really hateful comment.
Yeah.
A kind, thoughtful, or even just a simple, non-attacking reply can literally disarm hostility.
It's unexpected.
Completely unexpected online. Our sources even suggest that a strategic, grace-filled reply, even if the original aggressor ignores it, can have a huge impact on everyone else reading. The silent onlookers.
Oh, interesting point.
It models Christ-like behavior where people least expect it.
That's really counterintuitive that your response isn't just for the person attacking you, but for the audience. Can you give a more concrete example?
Absolutely. The article we read shares this really compelling story. A Christian blogger was being relentlessly attacked by an online troll.
Okay.
And instead of just blocking or fighting back endlessly, the blogger publicly forgave the troll.
Publicly?
Yeah, not a private message. Acknowledged the hurt, but publicly extended grace. And remarkably, this act led to the troll not only apologizing, yes, but actually reaching out to the blogger, seeking mentorship, guidance.
That's incredible.
It really demonstrates how these online spaces, despite all the pitfalls, despite the anonymity fueling aggression, they can become arenas for grace when we prioritize forgiveness over ego.
Forgiveness over ego. That's tough online.
It is, but this approach genuinely turns conflict into an opportunity for spiritual growth. For everyone involved and the wider community watching, it helps create online environments where forgiveness breaks chains and the love of Christ shines through the screen. It shows redemption is possible, even there.
That sounds incredibly powerful and honestly desperately needed in our often, well, toxic online world. But let's be real. It's one thing to talk about it, another to actually do it. When you're facing that negativity, that comment, that just makes your blood boil. What are the practical steps, the tangible things we can do to apply this Christian forgiveness effectively online? And just as vital, what actions protect our own mental well-being in the middle of all that noise?
You're absolutely right. Theory is one thing, practice under fire is another. The sources offer some really tangible practical steps. First, and maybe the most crucial, cultivate emotional resilience.
Okay, what does that look like online?
When you see that negative comment, that attack, the key is to pause before reacting. Just pause.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Our gut reactions often defense, anger, firing back. That's the spiral starting. Instead, take a breath. The article actually encourages praying for clarity right then, asking God to guard your heart from anger, like in Philippians. This isn't just being pious, it's a mental discipline. Try to recognize that those online insults, they often come from the other person's pain or insecurity or
Right,
ignorance.
it's about them, not me.
Exactly. Their words say more about them than your inherent worth. That mental reframe is powerful. It stops the immediate emotional hijack.
That makes a lot of sense. Don't let their negativity dictate your reaction. But what about when it feels endless? Engaging with people who just seem determined to fight.
That leads right into the second point. Distinguish between engagement and endurance.
Okay.
This means setting clear, intentional boundaries for yourself. Not every online fight needs you in it. Not every comment deserves your emotional energy.
So it's okay to not engage sometimes.
Absolutely. Remember Jesus saying, turn the other cheek. The sources clarify this isn't a command to just endlessly absorb abuse or stay in damaging interactions.
Ah, okay.
Sometimes the wisest, most protective thing is to walk away. Digitally, that means muting, blocking, or just choosing not to respond. It's necessary to protect your mental well-being, your peace, and to stop things escalating further.
So it's wisdom, not weakness.
Exactly. Choosing your battles, discerning where grace might land versus where it's just fuel on the fire. This isn't avoiding forgiveness, it's applying it wisely. And the third practical step, seek understanding, not victory.
What does that mean in practice?
Before jumping to assume the worst, the malice. Remember how easy miscommunication is in text.
So true. Tone is impossible sometimes.
Totally. No facial cues, no vocal tone. So the sources strongly suggest asking yourself, what might be driving this person's words? Is it fear? Maybe ignorance on the topic, or they just having a terrible day?
Trying to see the person behind the screen.
Yes. This empathy doesn't excuse bad behavior, but it lays the groundwork for compassion within you. It shifts your perspective away from just being defensive. It helps you see them, maybe, a bit more like Christ does, flawed, maybe hurting.
That definitely helps break that internal spiral of anger.
It does. It's about understanding the human, even if you completely disagree with their words or actions.
Those are incredibly helpful practical steps. Resilience, boundaries, understanding. They can genuinely change how we interact online and, crucially, protect our own peace. So, bringing it all together then, what does this mean for how we as followers of Christ live out our faith in this digital world, this polarized online space?
Well, as followers of Christ, we're called to actively choose words that build up, not tear down. Remember that from Ephesians? That applies directly. Every tweet, every comment, every post, we're called to extend forgiveness freely, always remembering how much we've been forgiven. That perspective shift is huge. We need to maybe courageously advocate for kindness and grace, even when it feels completely countercultural online.
It often does feel countercultural.
It does, and we have to reject that pervasive lie, the one that says online anonymity excuses cruelty.
It doesn't.
It absolutely doesn't. Instead, our digital lives, every interaction should aim to reflect the gospel. A message of redemption, hope, and that unearned, unmerited grace that needs to shine through the screen. We're called to be light, even in the digital darkness.
Wow. This has been such a powerful deep dive, really looking at how forgiveness can genuinely start to heal that digital divide so many of us feel. And it strikes me, it's not just about changing others at the online space. It's profoundly about our own liberation, freeing ourselves from the resentment, the bitterness that online negativity can just chain us to. It really is a gift we give ourselves.
Indeed, it's a powerful truth to hold on to as we navigate these spaces. May we remember. In a world so quick to judge, so quick to condemn, our call to forgive. It's a profound witness, a witness to the transformative power of God's love, both online and off. It's radical, yes, but it truly reflects the heart of Christ.
So here's something to think about. What if choosing forgiveness, maybe in just one of your next online interactions, could not only transform that specific digital moment, but also begin to transform your own heart? Think about that possibility, and we really encourage you to explore this more in your own life and in God's Word. Thank you so much for listening today. See you next time.